But he did respond just a few hours later with 4 paragraphs. And I just want to be clear. What I'm about to read through, they're just excerpts. It's not the whole thing. But I thought this was the most useful way and the most efficient way to present this dialogue to you. Are you with me? All right. This is what he says. Now listen to this. Dear Pastor Jonathan Wiggins, thank you for your letter. As I said to the press, my work is not about attacking anyone's faith or offending people's beliefs. That particular book, The Misadventures of the Romantic Cannibals, is about the corruption of the spiritual. I use collage as language, so I cut and paste images from many places like pre-Columbian imagery, religious icons, comic books, racist stereotypes, and I mixed them to express my personal anxieties about society with some sense of humor. In the book in question, my collages are necessary to show the corruption of the spiritual. I want you to remember that phrase, the corruption of the spiritual. So you may see a corrupted religious icon, but, and then in all caps, it is not the icon itself, it is not the Christ. Now, I already knew that. Listen, I'm asking you, my church family, listen to what he says next. It is my way of saying that something precious got corrupted. Then he goes on and he talks about how some Catholic priests, and I will add some Protestant pastors, while representing Jesus Christ to people, have done despicable and vile things, sometimes even to children. More vile than anything an artist could ever paint, draw, or create. And he goes on and he says, I have nothing against the benevolent image of Christ, which is about love and understanding among people. And I respect people's beliefs. I hope people respect my right to express my own. My best regards, Enrique Chagoya. That was my first dialogue with a Stanford professor. I mean, I felt like I was somebody, you know. And I told him I wasn't going to debate, and I didn't. Listen to this response. Tuesday, October 5th, this is 3:46 p.m. So all this was the same day. Dear Enrique Chagoya, I appreciate your thoughtful and timely response. People should, and I do, respect your right to express your beliefs. If you ever visit Northern Colorado, don't hesitate to contact me. I'd be honored to meet you. Thanks again, Pastor Jonathan. Can I have some water? Thank you, my son. Now again, since it's just us talking, just us, one big happy family, I didn't think he'd respond. The same day, 5:56 p.m. Dear Pastor Jonathan Wiggins, thank you so much for your email and for your understanding. It makes a huge difference to me to receive such civil messages in the middle of so much hate mail. I feel there is hope in this world after reading your note. My warmest regards, Enrique Chagoya. Excuse me just one second. Can you guys hear me? I haven't gotten a lot of sleep, and so I'm having some issues with my throat. Wednesday, October 6th, 9:01 a.m. This is my response. Dear Enrique, your last email brought tears to my eyes. I realize that you and I will likely never agree on everything. You guys ready to hear this? But I believe that you understand something about Jesus Christ and the Christian church that many professing Christians don't want to consider. The church has many times corrupted what you called something precious. I don't understand a great many things, but I do understand that some spiritual leaders have corrupted true spirituality. Would you consider depicting an uncorrupted Jesus? And not the one that many Christians have made him out to be? Would you offer your artistic ability and compose an image of Christ representing love and understanding, something precious? Those are all his words, his descriptions. I think the contrast of this with your previous work might give clearer context to many in the Christian community. This idea may seem completely absurd to you. And if so, I apologize for being absurd. Otherwise, I would be interested to see what you see as the true Christ. I might even consider displaying it in our church. How's that for controversy? Just a thought, Pastor Jonathan. Wednesday, October 6th at 2:30 p.m. He's been calling me Dear Pastor Jonathan Wiggins. Listen to this, guys. Dear Jonathan, if it's okay to call you by your first name more as a friend. Your letter touched me deeply, and I felt a bridge was built between different views and ethics that may have similar goals at the end. I have to say I felt like crying after reading your letter from yesterday. It made my day. My anxieties after reading so much hate mail disappeared after reading your note, and I felt calm and relaxed right after, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm not a religious person, but I recognize people with enlightened views, and you're one. The precious beliefs, principles of religion, and in some cases, in democratic ideals, they're betrayed by the imperfections of institutions and people. The only way to clean house is to have an open mind and heart to distance oneself from what is damaging in our world, starting with oneself. Christ whipped his own followers when he saw them profiting. I wonder what he would do today with the existing institutions. And listen to this. I am seriously considering your invitation to paint a loving image of Christ. Yours is not an absurd idea, but you think as an artist, since many of us have absurd ideas that become art. That made me laugh. This man, this real artist said, I think like an artist. What he may not know is I don't even know how to paint by numbers, okay? My only problem is that I will have a hard time portraying him since there are so many different versions of how he may have looked. Apparently, the first portraits of him appeared many centuries after the beginning of the Christian era. There were no portraits of him from when he was supposed to exist. I have an article from Life magazine where there are 40 different portraits of Christ from different countries. The ones from Europe and US are of a blonde man. And he goes on to talk about the cultural, ethnic aesthetic of every people group. That when they depict their own Jesus, it looks sort of like their people group, their ethnicity. He says, although there are many versions of Christ, all of them seem beautiful and peaceful. Perhaps I may imagine a portrait that is more like an abstraction of some spiritual beauty, or maybe an abstraction of a cross. Let me know if you have any suggestions. I will think of some. Listen to this. I will think of some, and I will do it at no cost to your church. But I wonder if your church community would accept it coming from me. My warmest regards, Enrique. This is Wednesday, October 6th, 9:02 p.m. Guys, you need to know this is what I said. You need to know this. Dear friend, it is with mixed emotions that I write with you tonight. I am sorry to hear about the events that transpired today at the Loveland Museum. I think Jesus might say, whoever is without sin, cast the first crowbar. I'm praying that you will be able to sleep soundly and that the peace of God will surround you tonight. Sorry if I sound too much like a preacher. I am one. I'm also truly humbled and encouraged to hear that you are seriously considering my idea. You asked whether my church community would accept this painting from you. With your permission, I'd like to ask them. Would you be comfortable with the idea of me letting my church in on our dialogue? I won't say a word about our conversations unless you're okay with the idea. I am confident they would be completely supportive of Enrique Chagoya painting an image of a loving Christ. I love you guys. Wow. Don't stand up again. I am confident they would be completely supportive of Enrique Chagoya painting an image of a loving Christ. If they aren't supportive, however, I might just be looking for a job in another line of work. Rest well tonight, Jonathan. October 7th, 6:53 p.m. This makes me laugh, guys. Dear Jonathan, thank you again for your kind email. I wish more religious people would be like you. I would call that an understatement. In any case, my offer stands if accepted by your congregation. Now listen to this. Will it be okay if I mention to the press our conversation? I will not reveal your name unless I get your permission. Let me know what you think. Best, Enrique. Thursday, October 7th, 10:26 p.m. Probably the only email I regret. Dear Enrique, I would be honored for you to use any part of our conversations that you think would add value to the public discourse. Feel free. Also use my name if you wish. I continue to pray for your safety as I understand Stanford is providing you with a security detail. Let me know if there's any way I can be of help to you. An unlikely friend, Jonathan. Friday, October 8th, 12:05 p.m. Dear Jonathan, thank you so much for your email. I may just quote your name in your invitation to make a religious painting for your church if your congregation accepts my gift. If someone in the press asks me. Thank you so much for being balanced. Best, Enrique. Several days later, after the weekend, actually it was the weekend in which our missionary last week, or the representative from the Gideons, he quotes this scripture last weekend, not knowing what I was walking through. He said, Proverbs 16 verse 7 says, when a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, he makes even his enemies live at peace with him.